Hey everybody, Robert Hoffman, aka Rockhoff, here for part two. If you hadn't, if you're watching this, I imagine you saw part one of the project where I finished this entry where where I wrapped up analyzing the game Urban Rivals from UrbanRivals.com and explaining how it can be applied to a classroom setting. Well, excuse me for a second. Sorry about that. I just drank a little bit of Coke in between videos. My voice was getting a little raspy. Um, but at the end of the video, I said I would actually analyze the other game, the last game I guys have been promising you, which was Monster MMORPG. So in Monster MMORPG, it's a game essentially like Pokemon, where it functions pretty much in every way like Pokemon. You got your starter monsters, and you catch monsters, and you train them, and you go through lands and gyms and all that stuff. It's Pokemon repackaged for a Flash game. That's all it is. Um, but essentially, this game can also be applied to the classroom. In ways, I imagine you can say Pokemon can be applied to the classroom. That's not my project. I'm not going to go into how Pokemon can be applied to the classroom because I imagine it very easily can. However, I'm going to go into more the Monster MMORPG, and if somebody wants to take a segue off of that and go into how Pokemon can be applied to the classroom, it's very easy to do. If you play the game for like 10 minutes, you can see that they're almost the exact same thing. So, anyways, Monster MMORPG. Essentially, in this game, what you're doing is if you are given this starter monster, and you got a choice of, I believe, 12. Unlike in normal Pokemon where you have 3. But you got a choice of 12 starter monsters, and from there, you use that monster to catch other monsters, train them up, and get all these new kinds of, and create your team, essentially, that you're going to dominate the trainer world. I don't know the best way to describe it, but that's what you're going to do. In this game, what you end up doing... This game also has an in-game economy, so like Urban Rivals and Neopets, it's very easy that it's like I have this money and want this stuff. What can I trade around? Blah 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 blah. I'm not going to go into that because I've already gone into it twice, and everybody doesn't want to hear me go on about the math rant. But yes, math, it's in there. The other thing is, honestly, this game is very different from Urban Rivals and Neopets in this sense that it is kind of in alpha and beta stage. And in video gaming terms, alpha means that it's still being developed and they're still putting out big patches and they're not exactly done with it. This game is in beta right now, I believe, which means it's free to the public. They're pretty much done making the thing. It's just they're still tweaking the little bugs that are coming up, and that's what beta is, and it's still free to play. But it's still a Flash game because it's on the internet, no membership requirements, free, you got all that stuff. But yeah, that's what this is. So this game does not have exactly the best, it's not going to tell you right away what you need to do. It has a couple of YouTube videos out there, Monster MMORPG, it's on YouTube, just look it up. They have two, I think, 30-minute long intro, like this is how this game works videos. And they're very good, and that is true, but essentially you learn how to play it yourself. But in saying that, the thing that I'm going to say that Monster MMORPG applies to the classroom most is going to be research. Yes, research. When you get a monster, you don't exactly have to fight it right off the bat, like in Pokemon, except you don't have to go into the battle screen. You get a chance to click on it and research about it. It's like, okay, this is when it's going to evolve. This is what type it is. This is what's strong, what it's weak against. This is when it's going to evolve. This is what you got to do to evolve it into this and this and this. But it's a lot of research coming at you quickly. But also, in doing that research, you're going to have to you find out very quickly, it starts off at first, you're trying to make your team, and it's like, oh, that monster looks cool, and it's going to evolve into this cool thing eventually, cool, too. And I think it's a great mix for my team, because most people who play this have played Pokemon before, so they're thinking the types. It's like, okay, I have a water, I'm going to need a fire, I'm going to need a leaf, and I'll have the triage, and it'll be great to fight against anything out there. Well, in this game, it's not quite that simple. There are a lot of them are double types, and da-da-da-da-da. But the main thing in this is, like I said, is research. You don't in this game. Unlike Pokemon, the monsters don't automatically evolve, and they actually have a lot more complicated ways to evolve them. Yes, some of them are very easy. They just need to get up to level 55 before you evolve them. But some of them you have to actually have trained up certain stats. You have to have them like you a certain amount. It has to be during a certain time of the day. I mean, yes, you can explain that they're Pokemon, but this is a lot more common in this game than in Pokemon. In this game, I've played it a good bit, and I have, I think, all my monsters up to the last, if not the second to last, evolution stage and all their things. But quite a few of them are very advanced. One I've seen is that you have to train up this certain stat to them up to max before they hit this level, or else you're never going to get it done. Like, you're never going to get this monster to evolve. And it's, and the hardest one also is this monster cannot lose this many battles. It has to lose a maximum of this many battles. And that's rough, especially when you're starting out. Because I will admit the gym leaders in this game are overpowered as mess. I have sat there yelling at a computer screen many a time because of the gym leaders. But if you're starting out the game and you have this monster that can lose a max 12 battles, you're brand new, you get to the first gym, you're probably going to lose all 12 of those battles, and your monster is going to end up staying in this primary stage of the whole game. But you wouldn't know that if you hadn't done your research. And that's a very basic thing about doing the research for your evolving your monster. The second thing that you're going to end up doing is you're going to play these gym leaders, and you're going to see a few of the monsters in there, because of course they make the rarest ones that are in this area, the gym leaders monsters. And it's like, oh my god, I want that one. That one's like, it's amazing. It's the types I've been looking for, da-da-da-da-da. Well, I mean, of course, you're going to be spending easily 3 days looking for something that's like super, super, super rare. I've done it before, trust me. It's kind of embarrassing to admit that, but I've done it. I've really wanted it. I ended up giving up, honestly. But it's doable. I've seen people with them. But that's essentially what that is. But you're going to see these monsters. You're going to want it. The only way you're going to know where they are is your research. This game, you have one little tab in this screen. That's the actual game. You have about 5 others following it where it's all research. This is these are the maps. These are the monsters. These are all yada, yada, yada. Like, you have research, 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 research. It's almost like you're writing up for your term paper, and you have, like, my first article right here, my second article right here, my third article right here, and down here at the bottom I have my paper itself, but I haven't opened it yet. All I got is the title screen and the title page and my name. That's all. But that's essentially what this game looks like, is you're going to be doing research out the wazoo until you get a team that you're happy with, and then until you see another monster that you like, then it's like, oh, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it kind of thing. But this game is big, 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 big on research. And I don't feel that I don't really need to say how that's applicable to a classroom, because every class has a time when you have to do research. If you're in chemistry, you're going to have to look at, famous chemists of the past and figure out their theories. If you're a sociologist like myself, I have done research out a lot of research for my papers, trying to find social theorists and trying to figure out, what they've said and how I can apply it to my hypotheses. And also, I mean, history as well. You got to research the things of the past. So, you don't sit there and it's like, history was made when the T-Rex crossed the Mississippi, with its carbine 24 to bring us the automobile. We all know that's not right. And you got to do your research eventually to figure out, what's right, what's wrong, and just keep going and keep going. This game is great for that, because if you don't do your research, you're inevitably going to get frustrated. It's like, why hasn't this thing evolved yet? It's like, oh, you should have evolved it five levels back. And you're just sitting there just like, no, if only I'd done my research. But another thing also that I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying is the theory of evolution. I mean, you can't talk Pokemon without talking the theory of evolution, unfortunately, because it's called evolving. And it's because this monster has been trained. Yes, it's not Darwin's exact species, direct species. And I mean, I'm not here to make enemies, and I'm not here to say my personal stances on this debate. I'm just stating that this game can be a good way to teach the theory. I re-emphasize the theory of evolution. I'm not stating it's fact or law. I'm trying to stay PC here. I'm trying not to say my personal positions on this. But the theory of evolution, and in the sense that, you know, the monster starts out at first as a little weakling, and, you know, it's fighting to survive, and eventually as it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, it changes itself into something a little bit more powerful, and it's something that you're going to want to keep around because it's a little more, in a sense, fit to fight. And that's basic. That's the very basic premise of Darwin's theory of evolution. So if a teacher wants to think of a cute way, and probably a way that, you know, isn't as upfront and as in your face to people who don't think the theory of evolution is correct, is it's a cute and it's a pretty innocent and almost PC way, probably until people see this video, about how to teach the possible theory of evolution. But that's pretty much the best I can do for Monster MMORPG without saying too much more, because I'm afraid I've already ticked quite a few people off, and I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to state facts here. I'm not trying to make claims beyond that this game has educational value. But anyways, I digress off that topic, and now into what I've been promising in the next 2.5 minutes, the summary of what I've been going over in these last 5 videos. So, in the first 2 videos, I was analyzing games as to how they've been applicable to real life. How video games can teach people about how to function well in an office setting based on what people have needed to do to succeed in these various video games. And most of the games that I was referencing, and Jim Gee and a few other people of TED Talks and other various scholarly places, have related video games to real life and how video games are actually helpful to people because of the skills that they learn in them. Then in the other videos, I began to correlate these games into the classroom while digressing off games like League of Legends and World of Warcraft, because those aren't technically Flash games, they're download games. They're DLCs. Or I don't think they're technically downloadable content, but they're downloads, so therefore they aren't Flash games. So I began to analyze Neopets, who I ended up stating has some health science educational value, has economics value, or not economics, and has math value. The Neopets can be pulled out in the classroom to help teach you how to care for a creature and to care for ultimately the young, and, you know, teach you not to neglect things. And then the math part is because of the economy. And that's true for all of them. I'm going to restate it for each of them. The second game I analyzed was Urban Rivals from UrbanRivals.com. And on Urban Rivals, you have a lot of things how it can be applicable to the classroom if one gets very creative. It's very psychological, and like poker, where you have to fake out your opponent and figure out how they're thinking in order for you to succeed. There's also a lot of math. It's a lot of speed math, because you only got a minute to figure out math and possible plays for them, and how your attack's going to end up being compared to theirs, and how much life, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's a lot of math going on. And also, the math comes in with the basic economy in the game. And the statistics comes into there as well when you're trying to make your deck and trying to make it as successful and as most of the time you're going to get the clans that you want rather than just a random card stick in there and get, you know, all that stuff. Trying to get the strongest deck by matching the most and getting the cards you want the most often. And then finally, I went into Monster MMORPG a little bit a minute ago, where it has an in-game economy as well, but I didn't need to really go into that. You know, that's math. How it's very much a research-based game. How you have to learn how to do research in order to figure out what you want, what you need to do in order to succeed in the game and have a successful team. And then also into a little bit of a controversial topic of evolution, how it's kind of a cute and maybe a PC way of teaching the theory of evolution. Now, I have 30 seconds left, so thank you very much for sticking with me throughout these past 5 videos. I actually might end up posting more videos later on after this class is done without a grading rubric. But I have 10 seconds left, so this is Robert Hoffman, aka Rock Hoff, signing off.